Travel with us now through the dimensions of time, beyond even the furthest stars, as we search out new and wondrous worlds far from Eternia. On this journey, we will review comics, movies, shows, and more that hold a special place in our own fandom. What new world will be discovered this week? Find out right now as Legends of Grayskull goes OffWorld!
This episode is dedicated to Travis Bolles. No matter where you are, you'll always be in our hearts.
It's his first. He's acted in other things, but he's never been in a movie. He's never been the leading role in a movie. So I think for him to step into that and carry that movie, I mean, there's a lot of other people, but Shawn was saying he does a phenomenal job carrying you through the emotional beats and the action and the humor. Like it doesn't feel like a first movie. And the actress who plays Jai Ling, I think it's her first time acting, period. And she's such a serious character in the movie. And then you see some of the behind the scenes, and she just looks like a little kid, just kind of like sitting off on the side, like, chuckling and laughing, and, just looks like a kid at school that on command switches into the character. And then, like, as soon as cut is called, like, reverts into like the little kid, which was so funny to me to see that behind the scenes.
Yeah, see, I still haven't even seen Shang-Chi. I've got to... Now I have to, because you guys are speaking so highly of it.
It's a lot of fun. I wasn't expecting to. Was not expecting to like it as much as I did.
Nice. Well, everybody, welcome. As you can see, we are just having a good old time here. There's actually a really great intro that you guys will never hear because I did not hit record fast enough. But trust me, it was epic. It was wonderful, and you all loved it. Just going a little bit different tonight. Welcome to Legends of Grayskull OffWorld. This is the place where we kind of get together. It's me, Shawn down below there, his buddy Jesse's right over there. And the three of us get together, sometimes with special guests, and we just talk about usually a topic, unrelated to Masters of the Universe. We go off-world. Today we're just kind of cruising through the universe with no real destination in mind. We had a topic, and then my day just went to shit, and yeah. So we could have either rushed through the topic, which is the one that Shawn and I teased on a previous Legends of Grayskull episode. We're still not going to tell you what it is, so you guys are just going to stay tuned. But we didn't want it. We didn't want to do disservice to that wonderful topic, so we figured. But we all wanted to get together and chat, so here we are. We talked about Shang-Chi and quite a bit of Marvel. So what are you guys thinking about Spider-Man? Too far? No. No Way Home? No Way Home. I'm going with No Way Home. Final answer.
No Way Home.
Yes.
Yep. You got it. Circle with the square. Yeah.
We excited. We hesitant. Do we think Toby and Andrew are going to be there? Let's start there. For our audio listeners, Jesse just shrugged his shoulders and gave a very boyish
I'm very excited. I'm always excited for new comic book movies, whether it's Marvel, DC, or whatever. I always want to give everything a chance. I want all of them to be good. I want them to be good and succeed. I don't want them to succeed if they're bad and they keep making it just because it made money. But in regards to Toby and Andrew, I personally have no stake in that happening. It seems like the opportune time to do it, and I feel like it might be a missed opportunity if they don't have at least a small role. Mm-hmm. I'm okay moving on from them, but if they're going to do it, this is the movie to do it with, and finally kind of put those to rest and move on with everything else, in my opinion.
See, you bring up a good point there, because the rumors started, well into early on in this whole movie that Toby and Andrew were going to be in it. And I was of the mindset of, like they had their movies. I'd love to see more, probably not so much in Toby's universe. I would have loved to see more in Andrew's universe because I felt that was just getting off the ground and I thought it really had some legs to stand on. But, like, if I'm not getting that, then I don't really want it. But now seeing what they're doing with all the villains, it's like, well, you kind of have to at this point. It's beyond whether I really want it or not. It's like, how can you bring in almost every villain from every previous iteration of Spider-Man and not bring in the Spider-Man?
Basically. I don't know, like this. I'm trying to think. They did it with the Crisis on Infinite Earth story where we had, the Tyler Hoechlin, Superman, Neat Kingdom Come, Brandon Routh Superman, and stuff like that.
Fucking good.
It was, and the thing is, I don't know. Like for me, I am of the mind of I'm good with leaving the past be the past at this point, like you're saying in some ways, because for me, yes, Toby was Spider-Man to me for the longest time. Like even when Andrew took over, it was like, no, Toby, like he's my boy. He started the ball rolling and he gave me the first Spider-Man movie, But then, there is a part of me that's like, Tom Holland to me is the best Spider-Man we've had to this point. He's encapsulated a lot of the stuff I really wanted to see in a Peter Parker / Spider-Man, but it really would be fun to see Toby talking to him and maybe being like the older version of Peter, like in Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah. He'd be in his 40s and he'd be the one that has a little more awareness of where he could be going if he does this or that, and Andrew being a little younger. It's almost like you get to see a generational version of Peter Parker if they do that movie. And that I think could be interesting because Tom Holland's Peter Parker is somebody that is always looking for his next mentor. He had Tony starting out and now he's kind of reaching it. Well, who do I have? And it feels like he's clinging a little to Doctor Strange now in this new movie. And the idea that then, and I hope they don't do this verbatim. If they do this, I'm going to be like, you mean I said this on the show and this is what they did? But it's the idea of he sees in himself, he has that reliance now because he sees these different versions of him who have overcome these obstacles and he sees what they became. And then it gives him that inspiration and that motivation to become something without needing someone else there to show him this is how you do it anymore, because we've already seen that in a couple movies with Tony being that way with him.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head for what I dislike about the Tom Holland Spider-Man is Iron Man's like father figure-ness in it all. To me, Spider-Man has always been that scrappy kid, that's got to, work his ass off just to, get enough to repair his web shooters or to fix his costume. Yeah. Or, and now it's like with Papa Tony just like, here, it kind of takes out that's been one of the tent poles of Spider-Man for me. That's what separates him. And now, you can make the argument that basically Tom Holland is Iron Man Jr.
I agree with you to an extent, but I'm also thinking of in the comic books, even back in the Stan Lee Ditko era, he would hang out with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And so in that way, it's like the Fantastic Four were also, Reed Richards is one of the greatest minds of the Marvel Universe. Yeah. He invents so many things that, they open that door enough that it's like, well, we don't have the Fan Four yet, but we have Tony who can invent stuff. And I get it. It's almost, he gave him so much stuff that now he's not that ragtag street level hero. He can almost be an Avenger just on his own without needing backup with that stuff. But it's like, I understand completely where you're coming from, but at the same time, there is that element of like little Steve versus Super Soldier Steve, where even though we have that element of, he has all these abilities, there's still that little guy in that suit, just like there's that little guy inside Steve there, his real person, where it's like, but that's still the hero there, So I feel like, yes, there is a bit of reliance on the tech, But at the end of the day, like, he had to figure it out all by himself in the last movie to go up against Mysterio. And even in that one, he didn't even use the tech as much as he used. I love that whole sequence where he just closed his eyes and the spider senses just kicked in and the tech wasn't an issue. He figured it out by doing it all on his own and letting his senses deal with the situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't feel there's an over-reliance, but I can completely understand why people don't like the Tony aspect of it.
And
so
don't forget, it's not Spider Sense, it's Peter Tingle.
Peter Tingle.
Tom Holland movies.
Well, I mean, honestly, anytime Marissa Tomei wants to talk about something like that, I'm like, yeah? Marissa Tomei talking about Peter Tingles. This is amazing.
I have had a crush on her since My Cousin Vinny, and my God, has she aged well.
Amen,
it's
brother.
It's really hard to take her as Aunt May because I'm like, no, Aunt May should not be...
Well,
no. I should not have these thoughts about Aunt May. That's the
if
key.
you think about it.
I think that's one of the good.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think that's one of the good things they've done to modernize the Spider-Man in the movies. Is, I mean, Shawn and I, we knew kids in high school and like middle school and stuff that were being raised by their grandparents and stuff that were definitely like older generation folks. Yeah. So like for Peter, like, that'd be such a weird situation. Not that kids don't get raised by grandparents anymore, but like, I feel like having her be younger, and I mean, she's in her 50s?
Oh yeah, I mean, she's
in her 50s, and
it's not close to 60. Honestly, I mean,
so she's not that much, younger than Aunt May. It's just a good and clean living, I guess. But back to the Tony thing, I would say, yes, it gives him like an unfair advantage compared to his normal upbringing in the comics or his rise to being Spider-Man. But he also approaches, that's one of the things I think I like about the Tom Holland one's best. He approaches it as a teenager. I feel like Tobey was a great Peter, not a great Spider-Man. Andrew was too cool of a Peter, but really good as Spider-Man. I think Tom nails both sides of it really well. But how he got excited about driving the car. Like, he's freaking Spider-Man in that movie, and he was so excited to drive the car in the first one. And he disables the training wheels in this suit. So he does have all the benefits, but he still approaches it from the way Peter, like, he didn't earn that level of stuff. So it's still him making all the like teenage decisions and making the mistakes and and all that. So yeah, it's definitely different from the comics, but I thought they stayed true to his heart and his personality and how he handled the situation. And then turning down the Iron Spider suit at the end of the first one and everything.
Well, I mean, jumping on that real quick, it's also the way they introduced him in the movies, no matter what. If they would have introduced him in a different way where it wasn't Tony basically drafting him into the war against Cap, you probably wouldn't have seen Tony be the mentor figure as much because Tony wouldn't have been involved in him coming to the surface and be as visible as that was. And then it's like Tony being Tony. If one thing goes wrong, everything shuts down because Tony's like, I don't like this anymore. It all messed up, and I have to do. It's like I have to do everything possible to do everything against whatever that was. And in the case of this, he did that to Peter. So those movies with Tony were about him trying to fix the fact that he did that to this kid and turned him into an ally in that situation. So like, it's the way the story worked out versus if they would have introduced him in his own movie in the MCU first, you probably wouldn't have seen it like that, And I think that would have been more palatable to some people out there, but it makes sense for Tony's character because look at, like we were talking in our Lost to the Void intro. It's like Civil War. The minute he finds out one kid gets killed in Sokovia during Age of Ultron, suddenly we're shutting everything down. Everybody's registering. No ifs, ands, or buts. And then Cap's like, no, we're not. And then it's like, well, that's what the whole. So it makes sense to me that he would be that guy.
And because it's all about Tony's ego. So that to me,
like,
I know everybody loves Iron Man, and I like Iron Man, but like he is his own biggest problem, and he created so many of the problems for the Avengers. To me, he reads as not necessarily the villain, but definitely the antagonist in Civil War. It's like he brings a kid to war. Like he intentionally goes and gets a teenage boy and takes him to war. And it's like, as cool as it is to be Spider-Man in the movie, it's like, that's a despicable, because he gets held accountable. The mom throws the picture of the kid because she brought it to his attention and accused him to his face. He feels guilt, so he's taking all the responsibility. And then he takes another younger kid into battle.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure he didn't think it would get as messed up as it did, but
right.
If you're not going to go to the pool, or if you're going to go to the pool, you're going to get wet.
Mm-hmm.
Who was that supposed to be? Because it wasn't always Spider-Man. I'm trying to remember who they said it was supposed to be to join the team before they secured the deal with Sony.
I don't remember.
If I remember correct, there were rumors that they were going to bring in Captain Marvel, because she was supposed to be at the end of Age of Ultron.
That might have been it. Yeah.
But they didn't want to just drop her in, like.
See, and that's the tough thing. Yeah. And then Spider-Man, I mean, he was integral to Civil War in the comics, but again, at that stage of Marvel history, in 616, he's a grown man by that point. It's a much different dynamic, and that's where the MCU really, I mean, it's great that it's based on a lot of this stuff, but some of the stuff they try and pull off doesn't work as well because it's like, well, it's not the right... Like, I thought Civil War was kind of early in the movie runs. Don't get me wrong, it's a great movie, but I'm like, really? We're going there now? Like, that I felt should have been, like, more... Probably after Thanos, to be honest with you. Like, kind of in stage 2 or 3, or I forget how they're numbering it now. But, like, that could have been something a little bigger, a little more epic, but... Jumping back to Spider-Man real quick, have they ever mentioned Uncle Ben in the newest iteration?
I don't know if they named him, but he does say something to his friend Ned about all the stuff that happened with his uncle.
Okay.
Or there is an allusion to it, but I don't think they've ever... I don't know if they've ever specifically said his name.
I guess I can kind of get at this point why they don't do the whole flashback and everything, but, I don't know, it just seems like they'd at least mention, like, what happened to him by now, and I couldn't remember it ever happening.
It's like the exact opposite of DC.
Right. Where you have to
every
see
time
Batman's parents die every
you have to see them die in every iteration. Even Teen Titans Go, they do all the things and they go to the movies or whatever, and like the kids give her the pearls and shove them down the alley.
Yep.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's actually what they in that movie they were rewriting history so they would be the superheroes, and they took away everything that made the heroes before them. And then, they literally saved the Waynes, so Bruce never becomes Batman. But then later on, they're like, "Oh crap, we got to go back and fix all this stuff." But they literally shoved the Waynes into the alley, and you hear the gunshots going off.
God, that's terrible.
It's dark, but at the same time, it's actually really funny when you watch it.
Now, if they ever do show, go ahead, Jesse.
I was gonna say, now we never get Uncle Ben ever again.
Well, I was just about to say, if they ever do show him, I think it should be Joe Pesci. Because that just...
Why?
Marissa Tomei.
Well, because of my cousin Vinny.
Thank you!
He's a little... Because at first, I don't know why. The first thing I just thought of was just the idea of calling him Ben. It just doesn't work for me with his... I see Joe Pesci, and it's just Joe Pesci. That's
Joe Pesci. It. No matter what character, it's Joe Pesci.
Well, when he was my cousin Vinny, he was Joe Pesci with a wig, but it worked amazingly in that movie.
Marissa Tomei is 57 years old, so...
And a lovely 57.
Fuck yeah. My God.
I mean, and Aunt May's been, 80 for the past 60 years in the comics? So.
At least, yeah.
How did that always work? Because it was actually, they were like Richard Parker's aunt and uncle, right? So they were actually Peter's great aunt and uncle? Wasn't that how it was supposed to be? It wasn't supposed to be his brother, was it?
It was supposed to be Ben and Peter's dad were the relationship, the connecting the brothers.
Right,
yeah.
But was,
as far as I know,
were they brothers or was Ben Richard's uncle?
I always took it they were brothers.
They just Aunt May and Uncle Ben always seem so much older than even like. Because, like, if you think about it, Ben and Richard are brothers like that. Nah, I know some of us had older dads. I mean, I'm not saying anything against that. But normally, right, like, your parents are not as old as Aunt May and Uncle Ben were portrayed to be. Like, they felt more like grandparents. So I guess I always just assumed it was really his great uncle, but who would say great uncle all the time? Like, it's just... In my family, at least, like, aunts and uncles are aunts and uncles. To me or my kids, my aunt is still, my son still calls her his aunt, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know what the official answer is.
According to Wikipedia, he is Richard's older brother.
Okay.
Yeah, I always figured that there was probably an age gap between the two, maybe 10 years or so. Because that was the thing. Like in the comics, they always drew Aunt May so old. And if you look at Eric Larson drawing her in particular, that woman looks like she would gotten turned into sand if the wind blew the wrong way.
That's what I'm saying.
Sally Field playing her in the Andrew Garfield ones worked for me a lot better than the original. Rosemary Harris was very much that's your comic book Aunt May, but it really was like. Yeah, he's in high school and she's literally 90. This is not working in the, but when it came to like this, it's like, well, in the movies, he's say 16 and she's in her 50s. I mean, that works for that. It's that whole Queen Marlena thing where we talked about it when they cast Alicia Silverstone and we're like, oh my God, she's Alicia Silverstone. And then we're like, oh shit, we're old. Oh my God.
We got old.
We got old along the way. I heard a fan casting online of who people would like to see play Uncle Ben if they brought him in a flashback or anything. And I gotta say, I actually wouldn't mind this actor playing him. Somebody posted they think Steve Carell would be a good Uncle Ben. And to this version of Peter, I actually could see that working nicely because it's like first thing when I think of Steve Carell, yes, The Office, but he's done a lot of other movies and he can really bring across some really amazing emotional moments. And those are the moments that he'd have to portray. And I'm like, I could buy that completely.
Have you seen him with the gray hair like recently?
Yeah.
God, he's hot.
Work for it.
He is a stone cold fox. I'm serious.
He also had the beard and all that, so he looks more rugged and stuff at times too. So there you go.
Some of these actors, like they look better now than they did when they were in their 30s, 40s. Like,
exactly.
I wish I could age like that.
and it also plays up that old trope of he looks like he would be a little more of the shyer, maybe like the nerdy or the geekier kind of guy. Yeah. And then you have a stone cold fox like Marissa Tomei getting him in her eye and going like, oh, I want to see that guy again. And all. It gives us people out there the little bit of hope that, hey, there's a Marissa Tomei out there possibly, if you're looking for a Marissa Tomei or whatever. So I would enjoy it on that level too, because it does. There's a lot of levels that it works for me in that way. So, but that's the thing. Marvel is always good with that casting. So I'm sure if they want to do that, they'll have somebody in their back pocket who will be like, "Oh, they picked him. That's cool."
I think Steve Carell is a good choice. I don't think I would have gotten to him. My first thought. I don't know if this would ever work, but I could see him really. He would need more than a flashback to be worth it. But Tom Hanks.
See. I was actually thinking that as I was talking it, but I actually, see, and I agree. You might as well just write the whole movie about him, and then Peter shows up the bookend at like in Princess Bride or something. It'd be like, you'd have like Tom Hanks. The whole movie is about their relationship and everything.
But like, especially after, I mean, I think he's always been a great actor, but I watched that movie last year or earlier this year. What was it? News of the World, where he's like he's like the retired captain or whatever from the army back after the Civil War.
Never even heard of that one.
And he just rides his wagon town to town, like bringing the news, like reading the newspaper to the town. Like that was their entertainment for the week or month or whatever. And he finds this girl, but just like the level of acting he brings in that movie, it's much more serious than I think it needs to be for an MCU Uncle Ben. But I think just that's the most recent thing I've seen with him. And just between that and the one where he was the battleship captain, it was on Apple Plus. I forget what it was called, where they're doing the naval crossing across the Atlantic during World War II, and the German U-boats are coming and they're trying to protect the supply ships or whatever. Like I think he has that world-weary, vibe that he could like instill some of those wisdoms, and we could finally get the "with great responsibility" line, from someone like him. And like Steve Carell, I think both of them would add different levels of weight to it, but I think they would both deliver that line fantastically.
The only thing apparently Finch is the movie I think you were looking for. Finch?
No, I haven't watched that one yet.
Oh, okay, that's the one that came.
That one looks cool too, but I haven't watched it yet.
Greyhound. Apparently, he's been doing a lot.
Greyhound. Yes, Greyhound.
Only one word's apparently though. I don't support Apple in any way, so they know what they do.
The only thing for me about Tom Hanks is the only movie I could think of where he died was Saving Private Ryan. And it's like, that's a streak. You don't mess that up. It's like, if you introduce Uncle Ben, there is a target on that man. And that automatically it's like, and it's Tom Hanks. That makes me feel a little bit bad for him, to be honest. That's not to say I want Steve Carell to get shot either, but I'm just saying it's not the typical norm for him, at least.
Has Martin Sheen, has he been Uncle Ben?
He was Uncle Ben in the Andrew Garfield.
He was.
And that's why my mind goes
to him.
That was actually one of my favorite ways of doing with great power, because that one got me really hard in the feels, because that's the last voice message he left Peter. And that was such a great, like, he always can hear him one last time in that. I love that. That gave me chills watching that whole bit.
I think the Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man series up to this point. Like, don't get me wrong, Tobey started it off. It's like it's a staple of my high school years. But like, I really felt that the Andrew movies they start off better and they had more places to go. And like, that was like, by the time Spider-Man 3 with Tobey came out, I'm like, okay, we're good. This can end. But like, I still want to see Amazing Spider-Man 3. I want to see that Sinister Six movie they teased. Like, I really thought that they were going in a good direction with that one. I think those overall were the better movies. But I mean, I think the first Spider-Man just got caught up in that time of, X-Men just came out, and now Spider-Man, and, can we do comic book movies? Do we need to keep them, more mainstream? How outlandish can we go? Like, it was just that weird kind of time where the movie studios weren't sure how comic book you could be.
Well, I'll jump in. For me, like, the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire era, it was literally Sam Raimi writing a love letter to the Stan Lee comics in that way. Because if you watch them now, they are so hyper comic booky. And in like not the greatest ways at points. There's definitely moments in there that are clunky. There are moments in there that make you just want to like face palm watching it. Some of the lines, like when he calls Green Goblin Gobby all the time and stuff. It's you, Gobby. You're out of your mind, and all those lines. And it's like, you who's out of your mind, or whatever he says. But I was actually impressed with those movies because they went with the vivid colors, and they made it look like a comic book come to life without doing like the Ang Lee Hulk bullshit of here's a panel leading into the next thing. It's like that whole thing was horrendous. And the acting is a little more stilted in those, but it's like Jesse said, I like the Peter Parker that Tobey Maguire is. I wasn't necessarily sold on his Spider-Man because none of his Spider-Man quips landed with me at all. They all felt wrong. His delivery of them felt bored or lazy.
Yeah.
And it's because his voice is he's got that voice, you know.
His was better in the dramatic moments. I mean, you go to the stop in the subway car, like, you know,
the train. That's one of the best.
Absolutely.
As much as I have moved on from those movies, that sequence is one of the best comic book sequences, I think, in movies. Just period.
Yeah, everyone grabbing him in and, you know, not saying anything. You know, it's just a
start to finish. Goosebumps. Yeah. I'm getting goosebumps.
The whole thing is amazing.
And it like, I mean, granted, they did that whole, in the first one, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us and all that stuff. Right. And it was very on the nose for what we just had happen a year before that, or not even a year before that. And in that case, there was something about you with that train sequence in particular, you saw how unified he made people believe they could still do the right thing, even if they didn't have the mask. And that goes into the Spider-Verse. Jesse and I were talking about that not long ago, where, you know, anyone can wear the mask. You can wear the mask and all that. And I love that in that moment, those people wore the mask to protect him. And even when Doc Ock shows up and that big guy, you want to get to him, you got to go through me, and everybody else stands up, and it's like they all risk their health and their, you know, everything just to protect him because he did it to them, you know. But I guess getting into the Andrew stuff real quick, I was not a big fan of those movies for the fact that I felt like they pushed those movies so opposite of how the Raimi movies did that it really, there were parts I liked, but overall I felt like they had that whole story about his parents being the spies and about now it's him that's going to get the spider bite, and it's him alone. It won't be anybody else's because that's what his father programmed into the mix. And I was like, no, I don't like that. This is it's his destiny. It's an accident that happens to him randomly. And it just ended up being the right person that got that turned into the hero versus, you know, if anyone else would have gotten it, we would not have a hero possibly. And I will say though, one of the best moments of those movies, so that I can offset the negative, is I love the Stan Lee cameo in the first one of Amazing Spider-Man, because I love that he's in the library and he's got his headphones on and Lizard and Spider-Man are fighting in the back. But that bridge sequence is absolutely one of my favorite moments of that, with the whole he's trying to save the kid. And he actually takes the mask off and he says, if you wear it, it'll make you brave. And he gets the kid out of the car. I was like, freaking heck, that's one of my... It's like Spider-Man is that guy. He has to be that guy. And they did such a great job with that scene. But his Peter Parker was too cool. Way too cool. He was not Peter Parker there in Tobey or in the Tom way. He was way too skater boy.
I mean, to me, we haven't gotten the perfect Spider-Man yet. Like there is, but just overall, like I said, the Andrew movies so far have done better for me. I'm not even I'm talking mainly between Tobey and Andrew because Tom's saga is not finished yet. So I don't feel comfortable, you know. I mean, if Tobey's had ended at Spider-Man 2, maybe I would think differently. But it didn't, and it ruined some of my favorite characters. But real quick here, you made me remember where I was going there earlier. Do you think with No Way Home, is there a chance we see a Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen? You know, somebody. I mean, everyone's talking Tobey and Andrew. But, I mean, they're not the only Spider-Mens in the universe. So, is there a chance we get something out of left field like that?
I think this would be a really good time to allow the Miles that they hinted at in the first Tom Spider-Man movie to get the spider bite.
Okay.
Maybe it comes from a spider from a different reality.
Okay.
Because they seeded that, you know, with Prowler talking about his nephew.
I completely forgot about that, so I'm glad you remember.
When he webs him to the car and he's trying to threaten him. Yeah. He talks about he's got a nephew now. if that nephew didn't blip out for that 5 years, he's going to be closer to being a teenager. So I hope they go that route. Just because with the animated Spider-Verse stuff,
Right.
like I want the movies to have their own ride with it and not cross over to like just pull them in out of nowhere. I want to see Miles in live action, his origin, and not just show up. But if he shows up, I'm sure I'll enjoy the hell out of it. But
Gotcha. Real quick here, not trying to cut off, but it is like 7:58. Are you going to try and get anything off the Horseman site at 8?
I already got it.
Nope. You decide against the all-in?
Yeah, I mean, as cool as it is, I don't use mugs that often. I'm not going to wear the pin, and I already have really annoying Christmas cards to send my family. So
I love it. Well, Shawn, did you have any last thoughts about Andrew or Toby or anybody, and then or Miles? That's who we're on, and then we'll jump over to, in case people are wondering what we're talking about here with Store Horseman.
Honest, I would enjoy seeing them in live action just because I feel like there's so many people out there fan casting those characters that it would be nice to go, here's who it is in Marvel now, and this is the person. And I don't need to see them coming in and doing a whole movie like Into the Spider-Verse, but it would be cool to even have like a hint of them and just go like, okay, from here out, we know they're out there, and then they can be brought back or something. That'd be more than enough at this point.
And you guys did see that extended trailers from overseas where all the villains are jumping at Spider-Man. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And yeah, there's actually, the point where Spider-Man's swinging and everyone's jumping and you see the lizard like jumping. Well, It actually plays like 2 seconds longer in this other trailer, and you actually see the lizard like being knocked back by some invisible force. And Jesse said he's out. Forget you guys.
no, sorry, I had a phone call coming in.
But yeah, so clearly there will be somebody else, at least one other person in that scene.
And the person who edited that trailer is probably fired. Because that was scrutinized probably more than the JFK assassination that week. Because they're like, who's Lizard jumping at?
Right.
What's going on?
No, I can't wait to see it, actually. It should be really good.
I liked wasn't much of a teaser, but the teaser they did for Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that just came out last night, I think, right?
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah.
I have no sense of time.
I saw it last night, and then I showed my kids today. I don't know if it was released last night or not.
I saw it before we started recording this, so that's all I know.
And the thing is, Matt being who he is about spoilers, it really doesn't give much away. It just makes you go, I'm so happy that this is happening again, basically.
Yeah, I won't say anything just so I don't spoil anything for the trailer when you get to the teaser, when you get to watch it. But yeah, it literally doesn't really give you much new stuff. But I absolutely love that movie, so can't wait for the sequel.
Yeah, that I can't wait either. And I did just grab 2 more Krampuses because.
Oh.
So I got distracted for a moment there. Well, I want the one because I really think I'm going to need some parts from it for that custom we talked about earlier. And then I figure it never hurts to hold an extra Mythic Legions figure, right?
No, not usually.
I'm going to try to go to PAX next weekend in Philly.
Oh, yeah. They just said the Horsemen are going to be there.
Yeah, I'm going to drive the hour and a half or whatever to Philly, pay the $35 to get in, and go like to their table and leave.
That's what I would do if I could do that next week.
I mean,
do the exact same thing.
It's a gaming convention, so I'll probably look around because I do D&D. But
as long as you're there.
But yeah, I plan on going there, so I didn't want to double dip on Krampus, which I guess that's our segue into.
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we got and yeah, go ahead. You're the one with the Krampus, so tell us about him.
So, for any of you listening and or watching, I speak
the YouTube.
I speak good English.
That's the next M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Watching. Or the sequel to The Watchmen. The sequel to The Watchmen is The Watching.
The Four Horsemen who do Mythic Legions announced, was it yesterday or Friday? Was it yesterday or Friday?
It was yesterday. Yesterday,
yesterday morning.
Yeah, we had hardly any warning.
Yeah,
they were going to do like a super secret in stock sale, which I always miss out on because I'm always at work and I always forget to look.
Yes.
By the time I look,
here.
it's all gone. So I was like, cool. I don't work on Sunday morning, so I'll check it out. And it was really unclear what it was going to be.
Right.
There's
going to be new stuff and figures and sets
stuff that was never offered. So I didn't know if it was going to be in stock stuff like the All-Stars wave or something else, and then some new items. I thought maybe it's like a weapons pack or like a accessory pack or something, or some weird thing. Some people were talking about being the standard release of the Sir Gerard, which I feel would be a little too soon of a release for that after the other ones, but that's just the way my mind was working. And what was it, 9:00 Eastern time today, and then they're doing it again right now at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and whatever your time zones are. Same stuff, both drops. It is a special package Krampus Mythic Legion figure. So it's not branded Mythic Legions. They're calling it, what do they call it? Figura Obscura. Which are like, it's a side, it's kind of like OffWorld. It's related, but not it's still
that would it's still Mythic Legions, but they're not in the factions. That's the key, because that was everyone's first question, is what faction is it in, Noble Bear, Red Star, whatever. So this is it's like cryptids basically of Mythos.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought their description said it was pulling even from our universe, that these things could cross over into. Anyway, it's Krampus. Really, really cool looking. I don't know if you have the ability to put pictures up, but if you go to Store Horseman or Source Horseman or whatever, you can find all the info about it. I don't know if you guys links that, but
I could have if I'd done it beforehand, but I didn't, so I'm not going to.
But it's really cool. He's got the basket on the back and the bundle of sticks, like the switch and the chain. I saw a picture with bells, but I don't know if that was someone had already had a customization of it with bells around his neck on a cord. But it just looks really cool. They did a pin, a mug with Krampus on it, their design. The box is cool. It almost looks like an advent calendar where it's like the two doors that open up with really cool artwork from why am I drawing a blank on his name? That's the one. And cards. Originally I thought it was a book because I tried to check out so fast.
Oh yeah.
And Matt updated me. They were Christmas Krampus cards.
Yes.
I think it was a pack of 10, which I guess they're going to be available until they sell out.
Yep.
And then Retro Rags in conjunction released, was it red, green, and black? 3 different colors, maybe 4 different colors of the Krampus logo shirt with Krampus on the back.
I know, I need to get one of those too. Oh, darn the Horsemen. Don't they know Christmas is coming? And MOTU Joe, for that matter. Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't know what to expect, and I was checking out so fast, and I'm just like, all in, $75, fuck it, let's go. And then after I got my order through them, I saw the figure, and I'm like, he looks amazing, all in, extra stuff at a discount, great, let's do it. And yeah, so I got the pin, the mug, and the greeting cards coming as well as the Krampus. And it was actually interesting because out of the first drop, they the All-In sold out first. Because I know you originally tried to get it, couldn't. Shawn, did you go after the All-In, or you just went for the figure?
I just went for the figure, but I kept refreshing because I wasn't sure if that was it. Like, when they posted it, I'm thinking I've actually had some luck with the in-stock sales, and I've refreshed during an in-stock sale, and I noticed that more stuff will load.
Sometimes,
and I'm like, crap! I'm glad I didn't get to the checkout part already. But today it was just there's like 4 or 5 things that they added in, and I'm like, okay, I'm just making sure this is it, and then I just went right for the figure because that was very much what I wanted over the other bells and whistles at this point.
And so the All-In sold out first.
Yeah.
Then the next time I checked, and I was at work this morning, so I couldn't keep checking, but next time I checked, the regular figure and the mug actually sold out. So, and that was out of the first drop, and then eventually they pulled everything off, and now they just put it back up. And as of right after I did my order at 7:01 for the regular figures, I looked and the All-In was already sold out again. So it lasted even quicker this time, it seemed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the chatter I saw in the Cabal, the All-In sold out in a minute on the morning drop.
Okay.
Wow.
And it looked like the figure was available for a couple hours before
it was a while.
Yeah. I don't know if they sold out of it before they closed it down.
Yes, it did. I did see it with the sold out before everything got pulled. So they did.
I wonder if they did like the Sir Gerard where that was like 400 for each.
I think they had 400. I think it had to be even more. I bet this was produced in bigger quantities. Because he lasted a while, and even now the regular figure's still there, along with the bells and whistles. And then the shirts, you have to go over to Retro Rags to get them. Yeah,
that's good though.
I might look to see if they have the shirts at the show next weekend.
That's possible as well. But yeah, I guess that's where I was going with it. It seemed like such a better. I mean, I know I saw some people. Basically, the All-In is what was mostly the thing that people were upset that they didn't get. But it seemed like everybody who wanted a Krampus figure this morning pretty much got a Krampus figure this morning, and he's still there now. So I guess that's, for everybody who likes to pile shit on the Horsemen and say they don't care about the fans, my God, they do everything they can to. Oh yeah, it happens. I mean, any online community, it's going to happen. But they really go all out to try and make sure it's. I mean, the limits they put on this, you can get two regular figures and one of the All-In sets. Like, no one else does that. NECA isn't going to do that. They're going to let people buy whatever they want, And they did the 2 drops to try and accommodate for the different time zones around the world. I mean, these guys go out of their way. And I thought it went really smoothly. The website held up. There was no lag on my end,
Yeah.
Got in, got out both times, and no issues, so...
Yeah, it's the smoothest online checkout I've had from a live, items going live that I've ever done in between collecting pops and, stuff on NECA or Marvel Legends stuff or Black Series stuff. It's always such a cluster when it comes to stuff going live. Absolutely. It goes up 15 or 45 minutes after it was supposed to because Walmart's site crashed and couldn't handle all the traffic. And, these are just a couple guys out of New Jersey, right? And and I don't mean that in a dismissive way, but of any of the toy lines I've been collecting, and it's quite a few. I just joined the Cabal a couple weeks ago after going to Legion Con with Shawn, and seeing how interactive everybody is. I posted about, hey, is anybody in this area going to PAX next weekend that wants to carpool on Saturday?
Yep.
And someone immediately, within 15 minutes, invited me to a different group that was just for the central Pennsylvania area.
Oh, wow.
Or Northeast. I forget what they called it, but it's like, hey, you might be, this is a more focused group for the area if you want to try that here. So it's just really cool. And the fact that Legions Con had them selling their stuff at the table, and they had all these guests like modifying their products and making other things you can add on to their products. Like Hasbro and Mattel, I can't see them ever doing that without turning it into a thing that they're going to bank off of and make it ridiculously expensive for regular fans to get, like the Mattel Creations and
oh my god, that was
all that stuff. Which I see those, and no offense to the people that create, like I have zero interest in like Matchbox cars in clear cases.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to diss anybody that's into those things, because I know there's a huge fan base for like die-cast cars and all that stuff. It's just, you're selling me a box with the toy already inside of it. Like, I
just
want it
like,
out.
Yeah, it's you know, shoot. Did you guys see that Orko necklace that they dropped? Creations? Freaking
no.
$150 for this Orko necklace, and it's plastic.
Wow.
It is a plastic necklace. I mean, it looks cool. It's like a clear Orko,
is it a
and
Nerf
he's got
blaster?
Like a little light. No, it's a necklace. It's a necklace. Plastic necklace that you would get.
Mm-hmm.
She-Ra used to come with one. Their first release figures had a necklace with it. Came free.
Mm-hmm.
Now you want one of Orko, you got to pay $150. I'm like, that's the part I couldn't believe, because Han Cholo has been doing the jewelry for a long time now, but he does stainless steel and real freaking materials.
Yeah.
How are you going to put a $150 price tag on a plastic necklace? That is just mind-boggling to me.
Well, ever since they did the Mad Saki stuff, I haven't really paid attention to anything they've done, because I found that to be questionable in general. Because I'm sorry, that was just, especially for that to be one of the first things out of the gate they did. I'm like, nothing about this is anything I need to keep track of anymore. I'm good. So. Yeah,
but they won't release any of the art as prints or any of that. They own all that vintage art, that box art. They won't release that as, hats or shirts or prints or blankets or anything, But they'll do a freaking $150 plastic necklace. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Disgusting.
Well, that just leads into my typical tirade of it's a brand owned by Mattel. I mean, that's it. And I'm not trying to be that guy about it, but it's just, they're a corporate brand. They're going to do what they want with it, whether we like it or not. And some people love it. I mean, the Mad Saki stuff sold out in minutes, if I remember right. And even in this case, I'm sure it probably sold well, but I don't know. I just don't see it the way they see it, and I'm actually happy I don't see it that way. I don't see this being an artistic brand like that. I see it as an imaginative brand, as a creative brand, but it doesn't mean you have to sell jewelry based on the brand or somebody defacing other people's artwork and selling it as their own kind of a brand. I mean, I said it. Yeah, I did it. But
I will say what almost got me was those Puma Skeletor tennis shoes.
Oh, that's what got you.
I almost did. The Skeletor one. I didn't care for the He-Man ones, but the Skeletor ones looked pretty cool. But I could not bring myself to drop $150 on a pair of shoes. Because then I'd be the guy who's always cleaning them and I can't wear these. These are $150 shoes.
You'd have them just on your shelf, and that's the end of it.
I mean, that's not a huge leap for a pair of shoes, though.
No, it's really not.
I mean, it's more than I pay for shoes because I'm a cheap bastard when it comes to anything except action figures.
No, I mean, a regular pair of Nike's Reebok
$5
are gonna be $100 easily. I go, we got a outlet mall next town over, and that's where I get all my shoes. So I'm usually around 50, 60 range. But regular price on them is. Yeah,
I tried New Balance 10 years ago, and I've been a New Balance guy ever since. They fit my feet better than any shoe.
Yep.
So,
and now I
love it when I go into the shoe store in the mall.
The old white guy starter pack, New Balance shoes.
Oh man, I'm glad I'm so oblivious to those sorts of sentiments about things.
Oh yeah,
because usually I go to the shoe store in the mall and it's like buy one get one half off. Perfect. I buy 2 pairs of the same shoe, just different colors.
Sold.
And then you have to make the joke about, well, if I'm getting one half off, what am I going to do with one shoe?
Exactly.
I mean, if you're buying New Balance, you got to make the dad jokes.
As much as I love bad jokes and puns, like I don't like joking with retail people. Being a retail person, it's like, I guess it's free. Like I cannot do those jokes.
Because we have heard it all. Trust me. I don't tell the worker. That's why I tell my wife or my kids to make them go oh my god, why am I here with you? That's no. I will agree that sentiment. Never say whatever you bag boy asks you if you want help out to your car. By God, if you say, well, are you gonna come in and put them away? No, don't do it. We've heard it all fucking day, and we're sick of it. All right. You're not. If it's later in the day, you're not even going to get the half-hearted chuckle from me, just trying to appease you, because I'm done. Yeah, that is a nerve.
The crotchety old man show lives. This is it. New Balance. I'm not going to appease you. It's all here.
We got it all. You guys pick up anything lately?
Krampus. I don't have that, but I got that this morning at least.
I know Shawn saw, Jesse might not have seen, but the earlier in the week I set up I actually pulled out like almost all of my loose Masters of the Universe along with some Mythic Legions, and I actually set them all up at once, which is like the first time that my collection has ever been that displayed like all at once, because I don't have a good spot for display. And where they're still set up, but it is what it is. I don't have a great spot for display. I don't have a big area, so the majority of the time my collection sits in totes, and I kind of rotate out some stuff here and there, or when I get new stuff, it'll go on display and the older stuff will go. One day I will have it all displayed in its glory. But it's kind of fun. But me and my son, we set everything up. He had a blast. He was asking about different characters. And then I also opened up the latest wave of the new Masterverse figures. And I got to say, these are some of the best figures. These two right here, Spikor and Beastman. These are my favorites of the line thus far. They are just so well done. Beastman's a heavy mother. The articulation, the swappable hands, he's just great. I love, exactly. The hair on the back, the way he's got that nice ball joint in the abdomen, so you can really do the hunched over thing. They really turned out great. And then Spikor, really, for someone who can't afford a classic Spikor, he actually fits in really nicely. I'm all in on these Masterverse figures. I think they're the best thing that Mattel is putting out for Masters currently.
I can't compare them to anything else because I don't. Well, that's not true. I have 2 classics. I have a Sorceress from the Filmation line, and Shawn hooked me up with Tila from the regular classics.
Nice.
I think. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, first release.
So I have those 2. And I actually bought an Adora on eBay this week because I bought a head to make a custom Mythic Legion character, but not paying attention to the eBay page, because he had a bunch that were on the Malena body.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just the way the hair was parted was just opposite of another one. I didn't realize he had ML and it was the Marvel Legends scale. So it's too small. So I'm going to use the Adora head as a stand-in until I can find a better custom head for this character from a story I wrote 2 years ago that I'm trying to make a Mythic Legion custom of.
I love it. I love the creativity.
Yeah.
But and then so it was fun. I busted out Wave 2. Those are great. But and Shawn, I think I told you this story already, but so my wife didn't even know I was doing this, right? I just got the fancy one morning, my day off, so it had been Tuesday, it was my day off. Set them all up, had them all up there, took some pictures, took some video, all that. And then when she gets home later in the night, like I cleared off like one of our, it's like a buffet we have and it's got stuff on it. And so then later in the night she comes home and she sees it all there and she's like, I'm just waiting for the you're going to get that cleared off, right? You know?
Mhm.
And I am. I haven't yet, but I will. Like it's not staying there, but she's like, "Wow, that looks really cool." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And she's like, "It's neat seeing all of them together because she's never seen that my collection has never been that much displayed at one time." And she goes, "Well, why are the totes still out here?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's because I'm going to put them away tomorrow," which I didn't. Spoiler alert. But and she goes, "Oh, you're going to put them away?" She goes, "I figured you were just going to leave them all there." And I'm like, "You never fail to amaze me, babe." Like, that's...
this is the moment where he looks at her and goes, "I know why I gave you the ring now."
Yes.
Like, if I wasn't before, I know now. This is the moment. It confirmed it.
But I told her, I said, "That's awesome. I'm like, I love that you're like that, but this is not, like, it was fun to set them up and take them, but this is not how I want to display them. Like, the cats will knock them down constantly, and it's not a display space for them." But that's awesome that she just, like, came home to all my toys covering her buffet, and she's just like, "Oh, you're not leaving them there?" Like, that's... Damn. Keep her!
Yeah, definitely. And that makes it easy for you when you guys upgrade in your housing situation after this place, hopefully. You'll be like, "And here is where I'm going to put my castle, Grayskull," and she'll be like, "Awesome."
She will be. She is always on me, actually. I'm the one who's not she's like, because she sees all the cells I've got and the posters and the prints and everything else, and she's like, "Why aren't you doing anything with this?" And I'm like, "Because I don't have the space in this house to make my space. Like, it'll just be, oh, here's some He-Man pictures in the living room," which, like, that's just not me. Like, I want, like Jesse's got, like, he's got his display space,
But that's called an apartment.
It's
literally his apartment.
It's the entire apartment.
There's a bed in there.
Bathroom,
somewhere.
Entryway, kitchen, living room, bedroom. It's everything. I mean, it's basically one giant room, but yeah. Floor to ceiling.
You also have no kids to worry about. So, I mean,
I have no kids. I have no wife. I live alone.
I've brought my kids over once or twice, though.
Yeah.
they turn it into their personal toys rooms.
Right.
When I get a place that's more, not a studio or whatever apartment, like, I'll have a space that's not floor to ceiling toys. Like, my bedroom would ideally not be all action figures and collectibles. But
right. And when I
my
was in
bed
an
just happens to be in the space,
that,
where all my stuff is. Like, if I didn't have to have a bed, I wouldn't.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think it just to me, like, there should be, I don't know. I'm not like closeted about it or anything, but like, if I want you to see my collection, you'll see it. You know what I mean?
You want to show it off in the way that you feel best represents it, not just because.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Now, when I was in a studio apartment, and yes, all my stuff was, floor to ceiling everywhere because that's the space I had. But now it's like no, I want to be able to create the space. I mean, I've got plans for the cells, the prints, the toys, but I don't have that room.
Just added a new shelf to the shelves over my TV stand to let my Star Wars figures breathe.
Yeah.
And there wasn't enough room. I had to make a riser on that shelf So now, because I got the Rogue One, I got the new wave of Rogue One all on pre-order. So like once they come in, they will have space to go. But I couldn't get my Bad Batch characters in there. I wanted to move the Bad Batch characters because they're in their own dedicated shelf back over here, which I wanted to put my Mythic Legions that weren't on horseback in there. So like there's virtually the table space in front of me, my art table, is like the only open space where there's not stuff piled up. But
I love it.
There was yesterday. I was taking pictures of all my Mythic Legions. Like, I don't know if you saw the post in the Cabal.
Basically, if Jesse did a walkthrough, like I know Steve and Jeremy both did a walkthrough in their collections in the last 48 hours or so. If he did it, he would need to do it in parts, not because of any other reason than he has a lot in that room. I every time I go over there, I am always in awe of how much he's managed to make work in a small space. And he somehow still keeps getting more stuff, and he still finds places. It's like his mutant power is knowing how to put things in small places. It's amazing, and what kills me is
I like how
I don't like the way that sounds.
All right. He knows how to position his collection.
You mean like the back of a Volkswagen?
He knows how to make his collection display well in a small apartment. Yeah. And his apartment isn't really small, but it's definitely a studio for lack of a better term. But and what kills me is like he's also getting some of these Alithia wave characters from Mythic Legions. Like he's getting the Minotaur. I'm sorry, the Centaur.
The Centaur.
And I'm like, where are you going to put this?
The moose was the moose was so tempting, and I still have no idea why. But I'm just like, it's a moose, and when are you going to see another moose? Like, if you want a moose, you need to get him now.
Yeah, you should have been selling it for them. If you want a moose, you need to get it now.
Have you got? You know, I didn't even think about it, but apparently that Centaur is still going to pull apart at the waist like a normal
typical figure. Yeah,
so you will actually be like someone threw out today, like, hey, what if we take that Krampus upper body and put that on a Centaur, like on the horse part? And I'm just like, that would be amazing. Like, oh my god, the way the Horsemen designed these figures, like you can make any character a Centaur. Like that's. Why do I not have insane. 5 centaurs? That's
the thing, and that's like, you know, I'm sure there's people out there that listen to our podcast going, "Why is this guy not buying any Masters of the Universe stuff?" But I'm like, I don't see the creativity compared to what they're doing with the Horsemen in that line anymore. I mean, it's just they and the forward thinking that they had, and how something's going to work, and then you find out this works with that, even though that was a first release or whatever. And so, you know, for me, like I spent my All-Stars 4 wave is finally on its way to me through Legion Shop, which is I got really excited when they gave me the email about that. That was my first time dealing with them, and actually was a really good experience. So I will probably order from them again in the future, because I do like they just sent an invoice. It wasn't I did a pre-order where I paid a non-refundable deposit of $10 each. And then after that, I just got an invoice. It wasn't like they took the money from me right away. It would have hurt me if they would have took the money right when they did it. And I waited another day, and then boop, I got the money to them. But I'm always amazed at the forward thought that they had. And it's like, it's amazing to think this line probably has been completely thought out from the beginning. And they're just giving you the bits and pieces right now of like, well, then we could do this now, and we could do this now, and add these things. But I went on eBay and I started like getting little pieces just for the fact that it's like, hey, here's a pair of gold boots. Maybe I'll need them one day. You know? I start doing that if I get a little bit extra money. I'm like, I'm going to buy a pair of gloves today because maybe I want to do a custom with that kind of glove someday or whatever. So
I thought it was cool. I don't know where I saw it in the last day or two. They said something about how there's stuff that they've designed way back in like the first waves that they like designed, sculpted, and made that they haven't even released yet. So it's like,
and I
don't have that level of patience Like if I have something and I want to share it, I'm like, here it is. It's falling apart in my hand, but here it is, versus like planning and like, no, we're going to release these things. We're going to do this. And I'm sure things like change as they go, but just to know that they have figures that were designed earlier that maybe they'll retool or whatever with like the improvements they made over the years. Just because I was looking at the Zylona's Flock wave or the Illitha's wave or whatever it is, and the new Circle of Poxus wave, just the way they're doing the belts and the accessories on those just look, and in no way am I criticizing the earlier line, but they just look like leaps and bounds, beyond the detail and the quality of the fitting and stuff. So,
but I know even we brought up, like, it kind of seems like they need an upgrade kit, like maybe release a cape pack or something, robe pack, because some of these older figures now are really starting to kind of look out of place, especially with how they really went soft goods on this latest wave. And I know the one instance I heard about was Jeremy Gerard actually, once Cosmic Legions came out, he was finally able to say that back when he did Intern for a Day like 3 or 4 years ago, like he saw the preliminary concepts for that blue alien. Like that's how long they've been working on Cosmic Legions. Even if they didn't know, I think that's part of it too. Like even if they didn't know at the time that it would become this, like they're always just creating these characters. Maybe sometimes they do have like a whole, he's going to be this guy. And sometimes just like, here's a character, what can we do with it? And then years down the line, it's like, Cosmic Legions. Perfect.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just that creativity is amazing.
I love knowing that the first wave, I don't want to say it was bare bones, but it was pretty much, you could see how they had X amount of parts in that library, but they made the best use of those parts. And then now you're looking at a character like Attila, for instance, and Gorgo Aetherblade, who they did that 2-pack for the Kickstarter on the video game. And you see that now, and it's like, you can appreciate how far the line has come. And granted, all of us will admit on the show, we were not there at the very beginning, like a lot of other OG fans. Close. But how many of us at this point feel like we aren't accepted for that? None of us, because the community that they built has really made it easy for us to still jump right in and enjoy it. And the best part is you get that the gift of time for us to look at that and appreciate, wow, they started with this and that was still good. And that would have still drawn my attention. But look where we are now. How exciting is it to get a 2.0 figure and just go, wow, this is awesome. And the 1.0 still looks pretty good. And you're like, now I might get that for my collection one day too, because that would be kind of fun to pair them together. But yeah, they're pushing this to levels where the detail and the sculpts, I mean, when we saw the Poxus wave at Legions Con, when you see those in person, the photos, Trevor Williams, 1/6 shooter who does the photos for the Horsemen, he never ever does a photo that doesn't make me enticed to buy any of the figures. I will say that, and he does an amazing job. But when you see them in person, it's like I wanted to just hand Born Boy my money right there and get the prototypes from him because it's that good. I wish he would have probably been like, "Are you crazy?" And Jim was right down there from him, and I have a feeling Jim would have been like, "Hey, get out of here!" That kind of
I wanted to walk out of there with the Ray Taylor or whatever her name was, like.
Oh yeah.
I wanted
the face and the hair on that figure. Blow me away. Like the rest of them are really cool, and I kind of want to get 2 of her just so I can use one of her extra heads as for my custom figure. But I'm never gonna get a human face painted that nicely.
God. And then at the same time, like they're always pushing it to the next level. But what other company actually asks the fans, "Hey, all this back catalog, it's all gone, secondary market only now. Yeah. What figures would you like us to bring back out?" Like that. What?
Yeah.
I mean, Hasbro kind of does that with the archive line for Star Wars.
They asked,
but
the fans decide on it.
They've done. You get to vote on one. I mean, it's like four or five figures per wave when they do the archive line. You know, that's like better paint apps or a new head sculpt or something like that. It's basically the same figure, but something's a little bit different.
Gotcha.
So if you missed out on the earlier waves, you know, you've got your chance at those 4 or 5 figures, but they usually have a poll through like the fan channels to pick at least one of them. But again, it's not, I don't think it's comparable to
because even then,
what Four Horsemen does.
And the Horsemen, they don't change anything. Like, they could. And I don't think anyone would be mad at them if they were like, all right, we're going to re-release Attila, but we're going to give him different colored armor this time to differentiate, you know.
Yeah.
Matty Collector did it with Master Universe Classics. They put the original on the package. Like, Horsemen are just straight up like, no, you want us to make the figure again? Here it is. Like, you know. So, and that should be coming up again soon, from what I'm hearing. Is there a figure that you guys have in mind that you'd like to see, or that you would vote for the next All Stars wave?
Yeah.
Who?
Azahar. I really want that yellow demon.
Yeah, that's who I was going to go with too. I've got the blue demon. I will be pre-ordering the combined form. I need yellow.
Exactly. I need the yellow one. And beyond that, I've had other ones in my head that I'd like, and apparently they've already done an all-star wave in the past for some of them. But here's a little tidbit that I found out in the last week. If a character has already been in an all-star wave, it's been said it doesn't mean that it won't be offered again in another all-star wave. Cornboy actually went in. There was a question on the Cabal asking that, and he's like, nope, it doesn't exclude them. They might redo another one eventually. So I don't know what that means exactly, if they're going to do 2.0, if they offer it or whatever. But at the same time, there's characters like Otho, who you might as well figure that's almost like, you know, close to half of a mortgage to buy him on eBay at this point, if you can even find them. I'd love for him to show up on it too. Those are like my two, where if they did those, you got my money, no problem.
I don't think I know the back catalog of characters well enough to know any specific ones I want, because half of the time with the way I'm buying these, like whatever characters I can get a hold of, I either change them to fit the story I want, or they add a new element based on what they are. So like, I definitely want to get more. I don't even know if I don't even know at this point. Like, I like the Xylonis Flock characters, and I like the new Poxus Wave characters. Other than that, I just kind of want to build up like Goblin and Orcs. The King Goblin would be cool to have.
I can't think of his name now, but yeah, I agree.
King Noglin.
Noglin,
yeah.
I like him.
Or one of the more unique dwarf characters, even though I have those two really cool custom ones that I got from Gray Harbor. Yeah, I'm pretty much good with just rolling forward at this point. I got a Queen Urxa a week or two ago, and she's really cool. But yeah, I'm pretty much good with whatever comes out. If they give us options to like vote between these number of characters, I'll be able to make a choice that way. But yeah,
I think that I kind of got into Mythic shortly after the last voting. I don't think I did vote in it, but from what I understand, that's how it is. It's like, here's our back catalog, vote for X amount of characters, and then the top ones get made. I mean, it seems so.
Is Otho the guy with the beard and the dreads?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He is really cool. Like if they offer him again, I will definitely go for him. But it's not one that I feel like I need to dip into reserves, savings, or any sort of extra cash to get the original.
The only one I would throw out there that I really want is the Yellow Demon, absolutely, and then Hagnon. I've been chasing a Hagnon, and I can't bring myself.
Is that the clear skeleton?
The glow in the dark clear skeleton. Yeah. Oh.
And what gets me is I know Matt got called out specifically for talking about the story elements of Mythic Legions or what we thought the lack there, because I know we both did. I'm not going to just be that guy.
I made the comment more publicly.
But you made the comment on a public realm way more than me. And what gets me is that's the character that when you found out his story, you're like, this is badass.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing, but basically I guess I could pull up the actual story. But yeah, that's one where first off, glow in the dark characters are sure, absolutely, and then
plus translucent too. On top of that,
there's a
little bit of that.
Translucent, glow in the dark.
Translucent, glow in the dark. Yep.
Does it smell too? I mean, you might as well throw in all the play effects there.
He smells like dead people now.
I bought at Ollie's a couple weeks ago. I bought a NECA Assassin's Creed figure that was clear, like translucent blue. I didn't know what I was going to do with them. I figured I'll just work them into Mythic Legion somewhere. It stunk. Like when I opened that package, I don't know if it's because it was the translucent.
Was it?
But I put it in a. No, it just smelled like. I don't even know how to describe the smell. But it was strong, and it was just very obvious that it was there. I filled up a bucket with hot soapy water and put it in there for 2 hours and hosed it off and everything. And I just ended up throwing it away. I kept the eagle. The eagle didn't smell, but the figure did.
That's weird. All right, so here's Hagnon's bio. Once a proud soldier in the Order of Aetheron, Hagnon led a legendary campaign that led to one of the Congregation of Necronominus's greatest defeats. Later, hunted down and captured by the treacherous Brother Mandibulus, he was brought to the unforgiven Morgulith for his final reckoning. In a chilling act of revenge, Morgulith ended Hagnon's life and resurrected him as one of her own. Eternally chained and shackled for his crimes, he has become the menacing and forever conflicted ghostly agent of Necronomus.
That's cool.
Dude fought against them.
Yep.
They killed him and brought him back to life to serve them.
It's almost like the slime pit. Yeah, it's got that vibe about He-Man fights against the Horde, but if they get him in the slime pit, he's now one of their guys now. And I like that. For being a villain, that's a hell of a way to make your villainy known. Is you come up against me, you'll become one of my own. That's just badass. I love it. Oh man, that's the thing. A lot of the bios, I'm not going to be dismissive completely, but a lot of the bios usually don't make me as wow compared to one like that one, to be honest. But I like how for instance, my thing when I first got Rhaegor, I ended up having a shelf dive with him, and that was murder for me, because out of any of the figures I have, he's going for $300 to $400 on eBay easily right now. And I broke his shield, and that was the only thing, thankfully, that broke. But when you read his bio, that's a big part of who he is the shield is about his designation and all that. And I'm just out of every freaking thing, this is. And so luckily there was a member of the Cabal, David Williams, who he reached out and he's like, I got one. Do you want it? And I'm like, how much? He goes, no. Do you want it? Where's your address? I'll just say. And I was complete. That was one of the first experiences I had really working within the Cabal and the community. And when he did that, I was just floored that somebody would offer that so readily. And I'm just, and I see that all the time. People will get these care packages. Absolutely. Here's this figure, and here's all these extra accessories they didn't even know were going to be coming with it and stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, that bio, I love it. It's chilling. I like that, how chilling that feels.
Like you said, a lot of them are just kind of like, here's the guy or whatever, but there's quite a few of them. Well, I'm reading more and more of them now. Obviously, I don't have near all the figures, but just going through Source Horseman and reading them all, it's like there are some of them that are just like a slow burn. Like your mind just starts thinking like, wait, what does this really mean? Like in the grand scheme of things, you know? If you guys could only collect one type of legions, like dwarves, elves, orcs, what would it be? Mine's pretty easy. And it's what got me into the first ones I really started tracking down, and that's the skeletons. Like for me, if I can only have one, you know, I got to get my skeletons because they are just done so well done.
This one is like me having to decide which child I'm not allowed to see ever again.
Exactly.
I guess for me, I would probably still stick with my favorites, which is the barbarians. The noble bear guys are they are just like Frank Frazetta paintings 3D.
Go put your New Balance shoes on.
I got A6, thank you. I'm only like a step or two away from New Balance, man.
Ouch.
Jesse can't even fathom this one. He's like, "What the hell's wrong with you guys?"
No, I'm suffering from the. I'm suffering.
Why
from
do
the
you ask
of the New Balance shoes?
Oh.
Oh man.
Well, yeah, that too. Like from if I was only allowed to buy one type from this point on, I don't even know. Because I like the creatures, like all the weird like animal hybrid things, but I don't know if that's like a type. So I guess I would have to say either orcs or goblins.
Okay. I guess you could say the flock, because the flock is kind of all those, like the centaurs.
And I don't want all the elves, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, the elves are cool, but, like, I don't know. I'm kind of burnt out on elves. they're so.
I want them to go legitimate. And I want them to now that they release Krampus, I want them to release northern elves that are actually like the small, short, pointy hats, like full-on Santa's helper elves. Those will be the northern elves.
Someone was recommending a Santa dwarf next year with
yes,
goblin scale elves with like the hats and the ears and everything.
Exactly. I love it. But so beyond your woodland creatures, you said which ones?
It'd be either orcs or goblins.
Well, you're supposed to choose between the two here. That's the whole point of the game. It's not.
Because in my mind, orcs and goblins are like of the same species, so they're technically in the same line. But I would say orcs, I guess.
Gotcha. Oh, those are. I actually don't think I have any goblins yet, and I think I only have one. I might not even have an orc, honestly. I know I tried. I tried to get Vorthog, but I missed him on the in-stock sale, and I just haven't bothered picking him up anywhere.
I like the orcs. I'd say they're probably top 3 for me because the Fury orcs make them look badass. Those bright red orcs. Oh man, I have 2 of them, and it would be cool to get more at some point. But for the time being, I'm happy with just 2. So
I love it. God. You can see where our minds are at. This has been a mostly mythic off-worlding.
Well, if they, it's like I said when Corn Boy posted earlier. I'm like, curse you for making me want something I didn't know last night I even needed in my life until I saw it at 9 in the morning. It's like, geez, the minute that thing showed up, I'm like, this is it, and then it's like, oh, this is it. It's like I had both of those reactions at the exact same time.
And actually, as of right now, the Krampus is the regular single figure is still in stock. So I mean,
wow.
The mug is sold out again though.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Well, other recent purchases, I got. I think I sent you guys both the picture of the Jackpot and Sights Transformers.
Yes, and I had no idea who they were. He looked cool.
I don't know if they ever existed in a figure other than the Action Master wave that Shawn and I were kind of into before we moved out of Transformers, and it's kind of the end of the Transformers for us at the time.
Yeah, early 90s, very early 90s Action Master line.
Yeah. So I now have 2 characters I had as Action Masters that I had never seen as regular Transformers before in the new War for Cybertron styling. One is Mainframe that came with the Arc. Is really the only reason I bought the Arc, was so I could get Mainframe. The Arc is cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm never going to transform it into robot mode because it's a ship. It's not a robot to me. And but it came with him, and now Jackpot, who's the cool thing about Mainframe is he's like Optimus Prime scale size figure, and Jackpot's like Prowl scale. But it's cool to see him in the exact same color scheme as he was as the Action Master, with his bird pterodactyl, whatever weapon that's more appropriate to scale than the Action Master version was.
I still say if they ever put out a Rad or the other one, Sprocket, I think was his name. He came with a vehicle.
Was he the green and yellow one with the helicopter?
No, he was like gold, black, and white. I forget what the vehicle even was. I think it was a car. Boring. I don't think I had any air vehicles with the Action Master line, but like Rad is definitely the one where I'm like, he's like my side swipe. It's you barely see anything with him, but when you see him, you're like, ooh, that's for me. Sideswipe's always like he's always going to be like one of my top 5, just because he was the first Transformer I ever had when I was a kid. So
I had one Transformer.
Yeah, Sprocket came with a green car.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, I liked him. I liked the design of him. So
I had one.
Which Transformer did you have?
It was a jet. He was blue.
Thundercracker. Possibly. Because he was a jet.
I remember he was supposed to combine with like 4 other jets to make a big jet thing. But I only
then
had
that wouldn't have been Thundercracker. Okay, so
kind of like a Devastator thing, but with jets.
Yeah. So. I'm trying to think of
what that would have been. I was not big into Transformers, if you couldn't tell. But I did have that jet. My buddy who lived 2 doors down, he had a bunch of them. And I used to play with them, but I never got into them personally a lot.
Being the little bit younger than us than you are, like you would have been like on the tail end of it, like being in, no pun intended, the prime of its coolness.
Mm-hmm.
So it was before Beast Wars came out, which I know people younger than me really seem to like.
Beast
I never
Wars
got into
amazing.
that wave.
I never owned them. My buddy did, but like the TV show Beast Wars, I watched that all the time. That was awesome. Yeah, for me, the Beast Wars did leave the greater mark on my childhood than regular Transformers, and this would have been in that kind of that early. Well, it had to have been it probably would have been 92, 93, somewhere around there. So
just as we were leaving it, you were starting to at least understand about it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Back when they were coming out with what was that, G.I. Joe Extreme, and they had the Ghostbusters Extreme, and everything was extreme.
Everything was extreme, and I blame Rob Liefeld for that because he just had everything extreme and had to have blood in the title too.
God, those
and the X Games.
Yeah.
Those G.I. Joe figures sucked. They had like no articulation. They were posed weird. It was
I was into Jesse's collecting the classified line, but and I kind of gave up on that one myself. But when I was a kid, I remember like the end of G.I. Joe for me was when the Tiger Force stuff hit. I was like, I'm good. These are just repaints. Like I even could tell back when I was a kid, I'm like, this is a repaint. I don't give a crap. I have the original figure, and and that was very much like I'm not doing. And also my mom would have looked at it and said the same thing because my mom was pretty wise to those sorts of things too. So
So you never collected the Kenner Batman line, then, did you?
I had a couple figures, but that was also in my transition of toys going into more comic books. So yeah. I had a few though. I had the one where you push his legs together and his arms would go up like a Silverhawks figure.
Yeah.
And I had the normal black version. I think that one's just like Crime Attack Batman or something. Yeah. And I didn't even get Joker. I just had the Batman figures, and that was the end of it. So
Arctic pole vaulting Batman.
Weren't the Joker and the Penguin? They were just like the super friends or the super repaints of them in just like black or darker colors.
I had those from when I was a kid, so I just got the ones that I already had, and I didn't. My mom must have thought I was the thriftiest kid that day because I didn't worry about Joker or Penguin. It's like Catwoman was the only other one because she looked like Batman Returns Catwoman, so I had her. Yeah, and then I had the Batman, and that was it. I didn't worry about the rest of it.
I think I had one or two of the weird color, like the orange Batman or like the gold Batman. Like, why was it gold?
Everything. To try and get those kids to buy them. That's what. No, you don't have a gold Batman.
Of course
and I think those were ones that like my mom just like was in the store and it was a Batman figure, so she just got it. I mean, so it was nice to have a new toy, but like I was like, I don't understand Arctic Batman.
That's what your uncle would missing the director's original intent.
No, and then I still remember because of 1991, Toy Biz started their whole venture into Marvel with the X-Men toys, and we had the Magneto figure, and I used to use him as a super-powered Max Schreck from Batman Returns because of what Catwoman does to him at the end of the movie with the electricity. So he comes back from the dead, and it's Max Schreck versus Batman, but now he has electric powers just because it's comics. Why not?
Might as well.
That figure looked like freaking Christopher Walken. That figure looked like Christopher Walken.
I still have my Toy Biz Marvel Legends black suit Spider-Man. He was in the picture the other day. I had him up on Castle Grayskull with everybody else. Mm-hmm. It's like one of the few figures I still have from kind of getting back into collecting. That's Snake Eyes Wolf, right?
Yeah, Timber. Hasbro just needs to release like a 3-pack of this.
That is cool.
Because like you could sell it as a 3-pack. You could even throw Wolverine in it, and you know it's an instant Hasbro repaint cash grab. Put 2 or 3 wolves in it. Like I would buy it just for the wolves and like you know.
We've said that for a long time. Why don't more places just do animals or creatures or whatever? Like just.
I will buy the animals. Like there's the answer to your question. If Mythic does more like mount animals or just animals as opposed to like humanoid creatures, I'll buy those.
Absolutely. There's not enough of it out there. I mean, I was looking at the Hamato Yoshi Oroko Saki NECA 2-pack just because it's like, man, that's a cool rat in a nice little cage. Like I'm thinking of like what I could use.
Yeah.
Like those
I was eyeing
accessories
that for the accessories. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I don't think, especially with, and I don't even do any like toy photography or anything, but those guys, like they would go ape shit for that kind of stuff. Not having to make their own, pints of ale and tables and stuff, or for those of us who can't, like I can't make that stuff like those guys can. Like just diorama type pieces, world scene setting pieces. Like the companies really need to pay a little more attention to that.
I know. I think is it Noble Bear or Legion Shop? Several of them I know offer like bread and like flagons of ale and different things like for like table settings and stuff. Which I've been tempted to do, but I'm like I'm gonna wait till like I don't have any interior sets to put these guys in. I'm not doing photography yet, so I'm just gonna chill out on ordering any of that stuff.
But yeah, I could go
next time I order, I might get one of those ones with the ale where it's like splashing out.
Oh, nice! I haven't seen that. I gotta go. I gotta look more. But I could go for like a woodland creatures pack with like squirrels and rabbits and stuff like that, or wolves would be
Sure.
awesome.
And then you could do a slightly different repaint and just like carve some pieces out of them and make like weird undead or like
oh yeah,
mutilated critter pack for like your necromancers and whatnot.
Yeah. Where is my undead wolf pack, corn boy? I want it now.
Like, did they do a skeleton horse?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'd say the closest you have to that would be the Alethea horse, and I don't remember the name of that.
Where she's got like the lips are like peeled back a little bit.
And and then the Poxus one, there's elements, but it's more of like a decaying versus it being a skeleton.
Like diseased. Well, I guess probably death, right? That's the horseman we're still waiting on.
I actually, that would be my guess, is they're probably going to do it for dang, now I'm turning.
I know, it's tough, isn't it?
Necronominus, or however you say the name. I think they'll go there with that because it makes sense. It makes a ton of sense to have riding a horse that's just a skeleton horse.
That'll be the skeleton horse. Yeah.
And then that'll take it over the edge for anybody who's ever debated if they're going to get into the line. It's like a skeleton freaking horse. Do it.
Tell you what,
know?
Though, that Poxus horse.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I look at it, I'm like, just. At first, I was just like, okay. But the more you get in, the more you zoom in, the higher def pictures that are coming out, I'm like, actually, this is kind of a sleeper here. Because at first, I was just like, oh, yeah, it looks diseased, whatever. But I'm like, no, they really went to town on this. Like, my God, these guys are talented.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm at the point with the line where I'm like, I'm not even I don't have any dwarves yet, and I had like one or two vampires, but I got rid of those because I wasn't worrying about the vampires. I wanted the skeletons and orcs and demons basically. But I'm almost like, I'd like to get Alethea and the horse because I want all four of the horsemen when they all finally are released. And now I'm like, okay, I might need to go there. Poxus and the horse. Plus, it's a 2-pack. That's an easy yes for me right now.
Yeah.
And that pre-order is still going on until January. So, you got time if you want to jump in on it.
Yeah, but I will be last day probably, but I'll get in there. And I'll get
Same here.
And I'm the same way. Now I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, I'm going to have like 2 out of the 4 horsemen and their horses. So do I need to go back and get Alethea? Yeah, I probably do.
What clinches it is if they reveal the horse and it is a skeleton horse for Necronominus, then I'm like, okay, I'm screwed, and it will. And then it's like a 3 out of the 4. I gotta ante up and get it finally.
Yeah, I'm assuming I'll get Necronominopia.
So it's Necronominus and his potentially skeleton horse, Alethea and her black horse.
Yeah, like the vamp, because she's the vampire
horse.
Aether and his fire horse. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm staying away from the demon ones.
Oh, the demons are awesome.
They are really cool, but like with the story I'm building with the figures, they don't fit.
But it's a fire horse.
The horse I could buy, but I don't. It's the rest of them that go with the horse. So that's an easy no for me on the whole wave. And I'm also skipping the vampires. If I do any vampires, I'll get 1 or 2, just to offset the
mine are
slightly customized figures I'm making out of McFarlane toys into my Brothers Grimm knockoffs.
You gotta share more pictures. I'm kind of the same way. But me, it's like skeletons, demons. Like, those are my top. Like, I gotta get all of those. And then, but yeah, I'll probably end up getting all the horsemen's and their horses. Who knows? I'll never be a completist, though. As I'll have, what I'll end up having is I will have, like, all of the villainous factions, and then I'll have, like, no heroes to go against them. My world is just run by the villains.
That's the thing.
I didn't count either, but you could easily tell on my picture because I actually split up my heroic side and my evil side when I took when I set up that display. And the villains are very much outnumbering the heroes in my collection, even with He-Man. So kind of just shows where my man. You give me a creature, a demon, a monster, like take my money. You give me a guy and a loincloth, I'm like, yeah, you can have a little bit of fun.
It depends. Like I obviously I said what I said, and I'm still standing by the barbarian faction. Barbarian figures still are the ones that I enjoy the most. But yeah, like I'd say the demons are neck and neck, and the skeletons are. It's like a 3-way tie for me, no matter what. Because looking at like Scapular. Scapular is one of my favorite, and he's one of the most iconic looking ones from the first wave. And he's one that, like, if I ever had to sell my collection, it would be hard for me to part with him because I just love the look of that character. And it really is like a one-stop shop for anything that you didn't get out of another line. Here it is. We're giving you the beasts, we're giving you the demons, the goblins, the skeletons. But yeah, I'm kind of. It's funny because behind me, I do have more enemies than good guys too. Even though I love my barbarians, because I'm very selective in the barbarians I'm getting. But when it comes to like, oh, Hellfire Goblin, yes, please. Fury Orc, yes, please. Colosseum Orc, yes, please. The next thing I know, I'm like, holy crap, these good guys are going to die just sheer numbers alone of these villains against them. They're just going to. That's the end of it. So. And I'm not upset. I'm not upset about that at all. I actually kind of dig that. So
I love it. All right, real quick here before we sign off here, we got to do our patented hot takes. I haven't seen shit lately, so I don't think I'm going to be able to participate in any of these. But, these aren't deep discussion, guys. If you haven't seen an OffWorld before, this is just like yay, nays, seen it, haven't seen it, plan on seeing it. So I'll start off with an easy one for you two. Ghostbusters Afterlife. I have not seen it. I do plan on seeing it. How about you guys? Yay, nay, in between?
Yay.
Jesse? Okay.
All of the yay.
I'll say yay, and also look. Anybody who's on Patreon for us, there will be something on there pretty soon involving that movie.
There you go. This is we did Spider-Man already. Actually, this one I did see, and that's the only reason I'm throwing it in here. Encanto.
Oh, okay.
I saw
Probably tomorrow night.
Okay. I saw it last night for my son's birthday, and it was actually really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would say check it out with the kids. It's good music, good voice acting, good animation. Actually, I really liked their art style and the colors, and it all played very well together. So yeah, I'd watch it again.
I haven't seen it yet, but I think my kids would like to, so I'm sure I will be sitting through that at some point, but probably not in the next week or two.
Right. Yeah, that's all I had because I was going to do Spider-Man, but we kind of rolled into that in the beginning.
Here's a one we could do real quick. Hawkeye. Has anybody been watching Hawkeye?
Have not seen it.
Okay.
You guys?
I have, and I love it.
Okay. Shawn?
I have, and I would say if you didn't like the first 2 episodes, stick around for episode 3. That is definitely one of the best episodes I've seen in a Disney Plus show, except for The Mandalorian. I'd say The Mandalorian trumps that, but the Marvel stuff, this episode was great. So looking forward to episode 4.
Really good.
One of those.
Yeah, it was. Without spoiling anything, it definitely hit a lot of emotions for me that I was not expecting this show to go to.
It's
got an action sequence that is just Oh, from beginning to end, it's amazing. I loved it. It's so well choreographed.
Better than the helicopter scene in Falcon Winter Soldier?
For my money, yes. And the reason why is there's more character beats in that compared to that was spectacle.
Yeah.
The Hawkeye episode, it's all about him. That scene, I should say, not the episode, but it's Kate and Hawkeye working together for the first time.
Gotcha.
And they're in tandem to get out of the situation. And it's just such a great filmed, great choreographed sequence, the way they did it.
Very nice.
Yep.
All right. Gotta check that out. Got lots of stuff to watch.
Sucks, doesn't it?
I'm finishing up season 3 of the Netflix Lost in Space trilogy.
Season 3? I didn't know they came out with anything past season 1. Damn it!
No, I really like that, and I'm probably gonna try to finish that off, or at least get as far as I can before I go to bed tonight. But
nice.
Yeah, really like that. Looking forward to checking out that Arcane, the League of Legends Arcane animation. I've heard really good things about that on Netflix.
The Witcher just came out with an animated movie, didn't it? I heard some grumblings about that. There's some real positive feedback.
That was really good. I actually sat through it. It was like out a couple months ago, I want to say, but it's really solid. Good story, good, and the animation was. I think Powerhouse did that one too. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it felt like Powerhouse, which made it feel like badass to watch the action sequences and stuff. So
love it. And shouldn't Mandalorian have been out already? The newest season. Wasn't that supposed
to be? Book of Boba Fett comes out on the 29th.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Have they announced a new date for Mandalorian? Or the newest season?
Sometime next year.
Oh. Yeah.
Technically, Book of Boba Fett is season 3.
Okay, that must have been what it is. Probably that early, like people assumed it was Mandalorian.
It was. They originally were going to have a season 3, or at least that's what all the talk was, and then they ended with Book of Boba Fett coming December 2021.
Yeah.
And as far as I understand, everything I've seen online is saying that the episode numbers, the chapter numbers, are continuing the numbering from The Mandalorian.
That'd be interesting.
So it's, I guess, and I'm assuming Ahsoka is probably going to be the same way when they do her. So they'll probably do them like in between seasons of The Mandalorian going forward, depending on how many they do.
Yeah. Look forward to checking all that out. When am I going to find the time? All right, guys.
Same here.
Thanks for tuning in with us for our meandering trip off-world. Hope you guys had much fun. I had a blast. This is exactly what I needed after this long day. Hope you guys got your Krampus, who was still available as of like 5 minutes ago when I checked. So if you haven't yet, check that out. Check out the Krampus t-shirts from Retro Rags. And go like, share, subscribe, please. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So yeah, hit that button down below, or if you're on the audio podcast, leave us a review, something. Click some stars or whatever stupid thing Apple has for their podcast app. And
we did get a review actually recently, but I won't read it now because I can't read it because I'm on my phone. Yeah. But we'll get into that on the next episode.
And we're off-worlding right now. I doubt it was
off-worlding.
I doubt it was about off-world. So
no.
Yeah, but we'll get there.
We're definitely off.
Yes. Well, I think. Well, how long has it taken us to get 3 episodes out? Like 6 months or something? I can't remember.
Well, if this was the main podcast, we would have lost viewership a long time ago for that reason. But no, we're good. We're good.
Oh, absolutely. No,
it's fun to have these little geek outs.
That's all it is, guys. So yeah, click all the buttons, give us reviews, all that. There's Patreon out there. We got a lot of new stuff coming there. And it'll be a lot of fun if you guys feel like heading over. Links down below. And until next time, guys.
Happy Krampus Nacht.